Hello there, and thank you for staying tuned to Lolwe TV. You are just on time to catch your favorite business program segment, Business Tuesday. My name is Eddy Nyadwa. Remember, this is the program where we bring highlights on how you can grow your enterprise, bring you opportunities on how to access credit and other opportunities to grow your business. And on this week's edition of the program, we have visited the CEO of Uwezo Fund, that is Mr. Peter Lengapiani, and he's going just to give us a highlight of the fund and perhaps also demystify some of the myths that have come about with the fund. Mr. Lengapiani, thank you for getting time to speak to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Bwana Eddy.
Karibu Lolwe TV.
Asante sana.
Now, before we start the interview, currently the globe is grappling with the coronavirus pandemic.
Yes.
How has it been on your end?
This pandemic got us in a surprising way, and the board had to sit, look at modalities on how we can engage and ensure business continuity, and of course with the guidance from the government, the board had to sit down, look at ways of availing resources to businesses at the grassroots level. And since the COVID pandemic started, we have been able to engage with our committees at the constituency level, that they do their meeting virtually, now that there is the aspects of social distancing. We also released additional allocation just to make funds available to the constituencies. We released an additional of 200 million to all the constituencies. And we also eased some of the challenges that some constituencies were not repaying. The board reviewed some of the policies just to make resources available. And we gave preference to businesses which are doing essential services like pharmaceuticals, some horticultural businesses to provide food, and so on and so forth. The board was able to lift some of the, what I can call them, some of the bottlenecks, just to ensure that the resources are available for our entrepreneurs at the constituency level. The board also looked at the issue of turnaround time, and if we receive a proposal from any entrepreneur today, they are able to receive their approvals within a week's time. We are doing it in a period of a month. Once we receive the proposal, because we cannot sit for only one proposal, but we do it now monthly, whereby we compile them together, and we have a loans management committee. We sit down and make the approvals to the entrepreneurs.
Okay. Now, this fund was specifically created by the president when he pledged about it in 2013, and its main objective was to support the youth, women, and people living with disabilities to expand and grow their business enterprises. Now, since its inception in 2013, we are now in 2020. How much are we speaking about that has been disbursed to this category of individuals?
It is true, Eddy, when this fund started, and when it was unveiled by His Excellency the President, it was meant to reach the lowest in the pyramid. These are the people who don't even know what a bank account is, what a loan is. These are the mama mbogas, the mama maziwas, the lowest, who used to put the money in the pillows and the likes. When this fund was started, basically is to ensure that we are able to reach them. The only security that we have put in place is that social security. You need to be in a group for you to access funding. We don't ask for title deeds, we don't ask for logbooks, we don't ask for any collateral. So once you are in a group, then you can access this money. And when the fund was unveiled by His Excellency the President in 2013, a lot has happened. And if you remember, the money which was set aside for Iran, the 6 billion, which was set aside for Iran, has been disbursed to all the constituencies. We have been able to reach over 67,000 groups of people, which translates to over 1.2 million beneficiaries. Most of our allocation has gone to women who have benefited around 47,000. That is around 62%. And then the second coming are the youth at 34%, around 22,000 of them benefited. And lastly, people with disability getting 4%. We had a challenge with the people with disability because this has been a challenge to most of the people at the constituency. They keep hiding their disabled people. They don't bring them out so that we can sustain. But we are giving them priority. If an application comes today to the constituency of a person living with disability, we give them first priority. So we give them preference. Number two, also we give youth priority, but we are encouraging them. It's a challenging constituency because youth are very dynamic. In that I mean these are people who are looking for opportunities. When a youth gets an opportunity outside his home constituency, he tends to forget about the group. So the group disintegrates. So if our youth can be serious with group sustainability, whereby even if you get an employment, whether at the county or the national level, it's always important that you maintain that group because that is the source of empowerment. And after your period of work, after your Sundays of working, you usually go back to your home constituencies. And it is also important that we maintain those groups. Let us ensure they continue having meetings and we are able to finance them to continue with their businesses and even expand it.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you said that the funds have been able to reach around 67,000 groups.
Yes.
Now, if I'm a young person and perhaps I don't belong to a group and would like to access these funds, is that possible?
Yes, it is very possible. It's a very easy step. The only thing that a group needs to do, for example, if I know you on a personal basis, then I know that you are a person we can work business with. So I just need to meet you and some of my other colleagues. We make between a number of 5 to 12 or 15. Then we walk to social services office. We request for a registration of a self-help group. They only charge 500 shillings. Or even you go to Huduma Center. You request for registration of a group. They just ask for a bylaws, minutes to indicate that you guys have been meeting and what is the purpose, what is the objective of the group. Once you submit those documentation, most of them even they do by handwriting. You don't even need to type it. As long as you have a secretary who understands how to read and write, you can just sit down, develop your minutes, develop your objective, the purpose of the groups, and some few basic rules guiding the group. Then you submit those documentation and the copies of your IDs to the social services. The social services are going to give you a certificate. Once you have that certificate from social services, there's nothing else you need. You just walk now to Uwezo Fund, pick the application forms. The rest of the documentation members have, including their IDs and so on. The only thing maybe they need to visit is their area chief, just to confirm that I know these people and they are doing some genuine business. This is just to prevent, some of our people engaging in some of the illegal businesses and so on. So it's always important that the administration understand what type of business are you doing at your local level, whether it is virtual, whether it is, as long as you are able to explain yourself. And the moment you bring these application forms to us, there is an officer who now receives the form, looks through if you have filled all the requirements. And if you need support, that officer is supposed to assist you to ensure that that form is filled right and to ensure that you benefit. So we are not sending back anybody. Once you bring the application form, we assist you to ensure that you meet the requirement and now for you to access funding.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, with this fund targeting majorly the youth constituency, and the youth are spread vastly across all the counties, but Uwezo Fund has its HQ here in Nairobi. Do you have other maybe satellite offices in counties where the youth can go and get this assistance?
What we have is that we are working with other government structures. As a fund, we don't have the capacity of employing. because of the resources which we receive. Most of our resources, when they come, we disburse them to the constituencies. But the regulation provides that we work with the existing government structures. At the constituency level, we work with the youth officer, we work with the fund account manager, NGCDF fund account manager, to provide secretarial services, and the sub-county accountant. These are the officers now at the sub-county level who provide secretarial services. At the county level, we have the county gender officer who also oversees the activity of the fund. We also have the county youth development officer who also oversees or supervise the activity of the sub-county youth officers. And at the regional level, we have the regional coordinators for youth, and we also have the regional coordinators for CDF. These are the officers who supervise the activities of these officers at the constituency level. So in case a youth has challenges with the immediate officer at the constituency level, he can move to the county, where we have the county gender officer, and we also have the county youth development officer. And he can report his case. If he finds that those ones cannot address his challenges, he can move to the regional office, where we have the regional coordinator for youth and the regional coordinator for NGCDF. The moment he gives that report, then of course those officers must have handled the challenges of the officer. But again, they can reach us through our Facebook page, they can reach us through Twitter, they can reach us through calling our hotline. We will provide details so that you can make those phone calls, and we'll be able to attend to their issues anytime, as soon as possible.
Okay. Now, with the funds that we already disbursed to the groups of the young people, women, and persons living with disabilities, I'm certain there are some projects that have been successful, maybe enterprises that have really grown thanks to these funds that you provided to them.
Yes.
Perhaps a highlight of one or two such examples? Yes,
we have quite a number. We have quite a number of successful youth groups, women groups, and people with disability groups. And one case in point, there is a women group in Gatundu, which is doing water, bottling of water. And they supply water within the Kiambu County, even in Nairobi metropolis. They get supplies to Nairobi metropolis. And it's one of successful groups that we are proud to be associated with. We also have an horticultural group in Gitunguri of young people who are doing greenhouse farming, and they are doing capsicum, very nice and succulent capsicum. And they are supplying, the rest of the metropoles with their products. We have also a youth group in Narok, which is doing yogurt. They call Mau Yogo. They have some animals, and they have started having some equipments, and they are doing some value addition. So the products they are getting from these animals, they are adding value so that they can be able to sell milk. When you go to the market and sell milk like anybody else, maybe nobody can buy. But the moment you add value, it brings a lot of transformation. You go all the way to West Pokot. It's a group of women who borrowed only 100,000 shillings. And they were able to supply maize in the local markets. These women were able to repay this money, and they borrowed more again. Now their business is way beyond 5 million shillings. They have been able to buy a truck, and these people are supplying food within their markets. You go all the way to Turkana, a youth group, and even it's a mix-up of youth group and people with disability. And they provide, they get actually their chicks from Nairobi. They fly them all the way from Nairobi to Turkana. Then they do, they feed those chicks until they grow. And then they sell to the local market. They sell to the county government. They sell even to the military camp around. And we were surprised how they are able to employ so many people, especially young people. And more of them are disabled. They are now empowered. And because of this fund, we have been able to reach far and wide. Eddy, if I am to tell you the story of Uwezo, I can spend the whole day telling you now those successful groups. how they have benefited from Uwezo Fund.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, recently, the Chief Administrative Secretary, Rachel Shebesh, intimated that there are plans, or rather there are talks underway to say that the fund is given more allocation. Are you excited about this?
Yes, Eddie. What the Chief Administrative Secretary said was that now we are revamping these funds. At this period of COVID-19, we need now to reach more of our entrepreneurs. And even with the directive from head of state, he indicated that let us reach to these people. Let us ease the pains caused by this pandemic. And that is the reason why we sat down together with the board of Uwezo. How do we ensure that money can reach to the people at the lowest level? We have money because this money is revolved. You pay and we borrow again. The advantage or the beauty with this money is that it is interest-free. You see, if you come and collect 100,000 from Uwezo, you pay back as 100,000. And again, we give you quite some time before you start repaying. For instance, in March, we gave over 255 million to youth, women, and people with disability. We dispersed just to cushion against the COVID-19. From then, March, today we are in September. They have not even started repaying. We give them a grace period of 6 months. So that means we give them ample time just to recover from this and make some more profit. And the moment now they start paying us, they're paying us without any interest. That means the profit they retain with themselves just to make their businesses grow and expand.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm certain in your journey to work with the youth, it has not been an easy ride. Some have been very obedient and observing the regulations and guidelines to repay the loans. Some are a bit notorious and are not paying on time or must be back to repay the loans. What are some of the other challenges that you faced so far?
The main challenge, especially for the youth constituency, is that issue of not maintaining their groups. And that has been quite a challenge, cutting across. And our young people, they are very entrepreneurial, and they are people who even think ahead. And if we can harness that energy of our young people so that they can also be able to follow these basic procedures. As I told you earlier, accessing Uwezo Fund is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Just registering your group, picking the application form and dropping to the respective office. Once you are done, then you wait for your application and your money. Most of our young people have been conned, in social media and in people out there pretending to be providing loans to our young people. And at times, when our young people are seated at the comfort of their rooms, somebody is just out there, a criminal person with a criminal mind, just asking young people that, send this money, send 300 shillings, send, they call it registration fee. We don't charge any fee at all. This is free. You just pick this application form and drop it. There is nobody who is supposed to ask you for a coin. And the moment you receive this money, you receive the check, you are not supposed even to give back anything. There are some people out there saying, send this little money. And because our young people, they are entrepreneur and they are trying to explore and get ways of accessing resources, they end up sending this little money. Eddie, 300 shillings is quite little amount of money to you if they ask you. But if you are going to target our young population, which is about over 60%, if you are going to get even half of that population, everybody sending 300 shillings, how much will that be? That will be a lot of money. Yeah. So then there are those criminal elements. And we have tried to caution our young people not to be swayed into those criminal activities. We have reported them to the relevant government authorities. We have also engaged the communication authority by reporting those pages they are using. Most of them actually have been pulled down. We have some young people who have been arrested. Surprisingly, those even who are doing it are young people. So they are also entrepreneurial by their own means. Yeah. But some who have been, we have engaged with the DCI, they have been brought to book. others are appearing to court, and we were surprised to find some of our young people even with so many ATM cards, and they are not only defrauding these affirmative funds, they are also defrauding most of the banking institution. Okay. So as we are brought to this digital way of doing things, using internet and so on, we need to be cautious. We also need to, it should be our own interest to learn, how do I protect myself even as a young person? How do I protect and put passwords about my messages, about my work and so on? So it will be a good opportunity for our young people to engage on that.
Okay. Yes. Now, recently also, I think late last year, the board unveiled its strategic plan for 2019-2023.
Yes.
Bwana CEO,
yes.
What are some of the highlights in this strategic direction that the board wants to take?
This strategic plan has come at the right time, and it has come at a time when we have the leadership for the fund. The board has been fully established, and the board sat down and said, no, we must have a strategy. And this strategy is to address most of the challenges the fund has been facing, including strengthening our framework. For us to achieve a lot, we need to strengthen the framework of the fund so that we are able to reach and address some of our challenges at various levels. The board also looked at awareness creation as one also of the strategies to ensure that areas where this fund has not been had, we are able to have an outreach. There are some areas where they have, in fact, in terms of their absorption is quite low compared to some other areas. So we need also to uplift the uptake of the fund in those areas so that they can also revolve and benefit, to avoid banks benefiting from this fund. This money is to be out there and to create what economists call multiply effect. If I have money today and I take you maybe for some bite, I take you for a nyama choma, and you see the farmer there can now be able to get market because the butcher can be able to sell his products. And you see then there is that rotational movement of money. It comes, empowers you, empowers another person, and so on and so forth. And people will be busy in the economy the moment money is with us here, rather than the way we used to do some capital flights, money going abroad, some rich people snatching money away. But this money, the moment they are with the people, they are with Kenyan population, then we'll see an active economy. It will be able to transform lives of the people. The strategy also talks of in using a digital platform on how now we can address some of our challenges by automating our services. That is what we are going to do this year. And, it will be easy. I know our youth population is out there in the digital space. We want also to be there in the digital space. We are thinking on ways of transforming our loan issuance process by doing it the way now it's done virtually. You don't have to walk to any office. You just need to have your internet, your phone, or your laptop, and you can be able to send all this application at a go, and ourselves, we can also be able to respond on that. That is a strategy that the board realized that is where our youth are, and we need to go where the youth are. Okay. And we need to watch this space in the near future, that we are also able to reach our youth where they are.
Okay. Yes. Now, as we come to a close of the interview, most recently the president himself, His Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, said that the youth are not a promise for tomorrow, but today's assets. Do you share the same sentiments with the president? Yes, I share the same sentiment. And the president is the leader of this country, and he knows where the strength of this country is. And our youth are an asset. If we are to harness their energy, their potential, they have so much talent. And if we can harness that talent, whether it is acting, whether it is, doing some manufacturing work, and so on, our youth, we need to get a way of harnessing that energy. And as a fund, we need to work closely with the youth for us to grow and make this fund
a fund for the future is to bring our young people on board. And we want to come up with alternatives, especially on where absorption is a little bit low. We realize that there are areas where they have challenges with this group dynamics. And at times you even realize some of the individuals can walk to you and say, why don't you give me an individual loan rather than a group loan? We realize that there is more security for an individual loan because, Eddy, it is easy to follow you rather than to follow a group of Eddy and others. And many others. Because the moment now I can engage with you, then, I can assist you. And at times you get our young people, somebody just sits somewhere, think about something, Google about a certain issue, come up with an idea and says, I need funding on this idea. And I know what the challenge our young people have is funding. That is also one of the ideas that the board is looking into. How do we come up with a product to support especially young people with talent so that they can exploit, they make use of that talent. And even some of our young people who look for businesses, maybe at the county level and at the national level. And at times, some of them even come in here, with LPOs and LSOs. We need to start partnering with those young people so that they can start growing their businesses. And for you to succeed in life doesn't need only to be in an office like myself or to have a formal kind of an employment. You can as well employ yourself there. The moment you are able to access government funding, and that's the reason why we exist, is for us to provide that funding, make your bank account active. For example, like Uwezo, when you walk in, we don't look at your bank account. Your bank statement might indicate 0. But you see, we can come in to grow your bank statement, then it becomes healthy. Walk now to a commercial bank and say, yes, this account looks very nice. And they give you a good loan. So many of them have succeeded that way. And they have transformed and they have made their business grow. So it's always important as young people that we see what are the modalities. I have a stepping stone to help me move to the next level. Once I am able to access this loaning, then I can grow my business and I'll start even employing more people and make my business a big business. And another challenge we have, Eddy, and I think this is just a wider understanding for our young people, is that we fail to separate our businesses from ownership. You see now, if I own a business and I've made it grow to a certain level, I need to disintegrate myself from the management and ownership. You see, if I'm the owner, I'm like the director. So I need to give direction on what needs to be done. But I need now to leave the managers to run that business in a professional manner. That way we'll be able to ensure our businesses succeed. And we have several cases in point in this country where big businesses have come collapsing, like the Nakumat, and now we are talking about the Tuskies and so on, because of the thin line for the separation between ownership and management. We can start from that low level. I have a small, chicken business. And the moment I do it, yes, I have made it grow to a certain level. Then I now need to separate ownership and management. I can be the owner. Now let me have some people who will be work on my behalf. But I'll have to give them the vision where I want this to move. And, I pay them according to how they have done the business. That way we'll make business succeed in this country. And I know people in this country are very entrepreneurial. The moment we engage the rightful mind, the right resources, we'll be able to go even beyond this country. Yes.
Now, lastly, Bwana CEO, what would be your message to that youth, that woman, or that person living with disability who now feels the urge to apply for this Uwezo Fund?
Uwezo Fund is a fund for youth, women, and people with disability. This fund is created to achieve the requirement of the Vision 2030. This is a flagship project. And when the government started this, is because our young people, youth and women, and people living with disability were considered they are unable to access credit because they don't own land, they don't own vehicles, they don't own animals. That is a fact as Africans. Most of the resources are owned by men. And our young people, women, and people with disability were considered as they were owned by men instead. So the government set this fund to uplift the status of our young people, women, and youth. And I'll urge them to apply for this funding. Come out of wherever you are so that you can be empowered. You can stop depending on that husband. You can stop depending from the father and the mother, and you'll be able to start your own business. The era of, going to look for capital from an uncle, from a mother, from a sister, government has transformed that. Now you can walk to a government office, just pick the application form, fill it, and the government is ready to work with you in the journey to ensure that you are able to repay this money and you are able to do your business. And even if you do, you have challenges. And I know most of you have taken loans from your, your relatives. How is it when you fail to pay your loan from your relatives? At times they call you a lot of names. This is a situation that when you have a challenge with your business, walk to the government office, talk to the officers, they discuss about your loan, they restructure your loan because of the situation you are facing, like even during this pandemic period, we restructure the loans so that now you have some easy time on repaying this loan. So it's important that they walk to this office, to our office, collect the application form, and they can be able to start their business of their dream, and they can even expand what is already existing that they are unable to get capital.
Okay.
Yes.
That has been the CEO of Uwezo Fund, Mr. Peter Lengapiani, just speaking to us in detail about how one can access the fund. Remember, this is a fund created for the youth, women, and persons living with disability in a bid to help them grow their enterprises or businesses so as to realize their economic potential. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now. My name is Eddy Nyadwa.